Good afternoon. Trust everyone had a good lunch. This is a public hearing for Page Kincaid Public Service District Wastewater Utility. We have two sheets back there, one for people who are here at the meeting, the second for people to speak. And no one has signed up to speak. For this meeting, we have two board members from Page Kincaid and the manager of Page Kincaid, Bart. So, Michael?
If there is no public comment on this issue, then at this juncture, it would be up to the commission if they want to make any comments regarding their decision. And then I think consistent with yesterday's hearing, any specific action that the commission would want to take related to the proposal to dissolve Page Kincaid, I think consistent with yesterday's action is no action will be taken on that issue today, that all action will be taken at a subsequent meeting. And so if there's no public comments after the commissions, if any commissioners would like to make a comment on the record regarding your thoughts about this issue, that would be a time to do it. The other thing is just for purposes of this hearing and for the record, this commission has held multiple meetings on this issue, including a meeting in the area of Page Kincaid, as well as a meeting up here with Page Kincaid, meetings with West Virginia American Water, as well as other public meetings related to this. And as a result, instead of rehashing everything that has occurred in all of those meetings, I would just request that the commission just move and adopt, the record and evidence and all those prior meetings just be adopted and incorporated in this meeting. And then other than that, there's no, other than comments by you all, there's nothing else that needs to be done with respect to this hearing for Page Kincaid.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Allison?
I just, I think I've made my position clear to everybody in the past, but there have been a couple of other considerations that since we talked to you last that have come up that further, in my mind, support the actions we've taken. One is, and I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but a House bill passed this session and it was actually signed into law by the governor. I found out after yesterday's meeting. That basically says that the Public Service Commission cannot force utilities like West Virginia American Water in this case to take over a public service district if it has too much debt. It can't force it to assume the debt of another public service district if it's considered extraordinary. And I don't know what that line is and how that would play out, but it's further reinforcement to me that we're making the right decision here because we do have two PSDs of the three that are in pretty bad shape. And another thing that has happened is there was a meeting with FEMA last week at which we learned that we're not even close to having help fixing the Cannleton Holla issue. It may or may not be funded. The amount of funding, which we used to think was $20 million, is now going to be $17 million at best. And that's going to be at best in over a year, which means it will probably cost more to fix. That means we will have to recover, another minimum of $5 million from try to get that from the state or other sources just to do the basic repairs that Canal Falls needs and not its upgrades. So there are a lot of things that have happened that, we're also not confident based on the current climate in federal government that FEMA is going to be able to fund that ultimately. I mean, it's going to depend on what the administration allows to go through and what the administration decides to cut. I know that the administration has refused further help to the Helene victims in North Carolina. And if that, high publicity event is not getting funded, I imagine a very low publicity event in Council Hollow may not either. So those are some of the things that I think that have further kind of cemented my part of the decision on this issue. Because we have people who are relying on these services. We're trying to grow our county in the valley. And if we have unreliable water and wastewater, we're not going to be able to do that. I want you all to know that this was a very hard decision for us. It wasn't one we took lightly, and it wasn't one that we weren't leaning toward West Virginia American Water. We asked every question we could to figure out how we, with the minimal takeover, and maybe get West Virginia American Water to take on a couple of things and let us keep some things. And that just wasn't in the cards. That wasn't part of the deal, and they didn't want to change the deal. And that's their right. I had a member of the press ask me if I thought that West Virginia American Water was kind of forcing us or had some kind of position that made us vulnerable. And my response was, I really don't think it does. I mean, we could have decided against this. I think what really hurt us was the flood in 2022, and Mother Nature made that decision. So, I feel like we, had everything we needed to make this decision. And if it weren't for the floods, we might have, our bargaining position might have been stronger, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much what I had to say.
Everybody adding or coming in, is anyone from Page Kincaid on?
John Tuggle is the only.
Okay, all right, Greg.
No, I think Commissioner Taylor summed it all up.
Okay, when we held the public meeting at the fire department, at that time, Bart, you and I'm drawing a blank. Jim, yes, thank you. Talked to West Virginia American and said at that time it was your guys' wish for them to take over. From what I understand, they are currently working on an emergency O&M agreement, so they can come in and get some things going. Jake?
Yes, sir.
Come on. You just have board members here with Paige Kincaid and the manager.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Go back, my back is to them.
okay, sorry, guys. But when Brooks told me that you guys were working on an emergency O&M agreement for them, and they may have it done in like 3-4 weeks or earlier. So they're going to try to work with you guys as much as possible, get things taken care of. If that's still the board's wish.
It is.
All right.
So,
Okay. All right, then with that being said, we will convene back at.
just 1 minute. Are you gonna be here, Jake, for the next
Yes.
session also?
At 2 o'clock?
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to move that we go into executive session to discuss contract related negotiations, because we have some time between the meetings, and I have some questions for Jake.
Bart,
Speak before you.
yeah, they would like to say something.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, come on, Bart,
I didn't see
Or-
that though.
or Mr. Smith.
Okay. The questions that we had,
Okay,
we're not,
please state your name.
okay, Bart Jackson, I'm manager at Page Kincaid Public Service District.
Okay, thank you.
Some questions that we have is timeline on this. Does anybody have a timeline?
Depending on when the asset purchase agreement is signed. Typically at that point, we submit an application to the Public Service Commission. And then they will they have a hearing, an evidentiary hearing where there's testimony that's submitted. It's kind of like a court proceeding. We have to go in and testify, explain what the circumstances were and all that kind of stuff. But after we submit the application to the PSC, it could be 6 months before we're given an order that we can proceed with the closing. Now, that being said, there's no reason why we can't, after the APA is signed, look at doing that emergency O&M agreement where we can start doing work right away, much like we did in Armstrong on the water side, that we put in that interconnect and took the plant offline and started serving the water. We can do a similar thing here. But I think once we get that APA signed, that's when we can start really doing emergency work that we can start having application get right away.
Well, that brings up one of the other questions, but y'all are familiar with the debt, and I've just sent a couple more papers up to y'all this week. And we're, right now, our jetter is at $10,000 repair, a little over 10,000 to repair, and we need it really bad. And we're in need of 2 grinders right now. And I sent a quote for 4. And I've actually ordered 1 already. It'll be like $2,500. So, I mean, that's
Keep the receipts.
keep the receipts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't have that kind of money. That's the whole problem.
I'd like to discuss that in executive session also.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll talk about that.
all right, Ken. Let's see. Employees. What are we doing with them? What are you gonna do with employees?
The asset purchase agreement says we will give them the opportunity to apply for jobs with the company.
Are we gonna be able to stay at base camp?
I have no idea what the jobs are going to be, maybe, probably, but that's. I can't guarantee that they're gonna be working at that location. It's possible that they could go over to work on the former Armstrong system or the former Sean Hall system or over at Fayetteville. So there's no guarantee they'll work just on that system that they used to work.
And some people even work from their homes. Wasn't that said too?
We do offer some work from home, yes, if your job, if you're able to do that with the position that you have, you can do that.
Okay. I think that was all.
Mr. Smith, you have any questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Smith is always the quiet one. but-
Jill.
Yeah. Any
All right,
questions?
thank you.
Okay, all right. So, go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to move that we go into executive session to discuss purchase contract.
Okay.
116.
Welcome back to our meeting. We just come out of executive session where no decisions were made.
I'm going to move to adjourn that meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adjourn the 1 o'clock meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Bruce, can you see if Michael's available?
I thought he was talking to Jake, but.
I didn't see, but Jake's sitting back there. I'll see what they take you out for now so they can hide behind you. Okay. It's 2 o'clock and it's time for a public hearing for Armstrong Public Service District wastewater utility. We have no one who has come here to speak. Or has anyone come to sign in for the public meeting? However, we do see that
Mr. Hannah.
Mr. Hannah is online. So Mr. Hannah, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. Would you like to make a statement for the PSD?
No, I would not. Thank you.
Michael?
Sure. So, at this juncture, being that there's no public comments, related to this, statutorily required hearing, what I would, just state, at this juncture is similar, a couple of things. First is, pursuant to how the commission has handled, these public hearings thus far, I would, advise and tell the commission that the motion and decision on to dissolve this PSD should be held at a subsequent meeting shortly hereafter, after being duly noticed and all of that, where all three of the PSDs will separately issues will separately be taken up. So I would that would be number one. Number two is for purposes of this public hearing and for the record that this commission has held and hosted a number of meetings and events with the various stakeholders related to this issue, and that the meetings and the minutes and the evidence presented and statements taken therein at those meetings be incorporated into this meeting for purposes of the record, and otherwise, if there's nothing from the public, if the commissioners would wish to make any public comments or just incorporate their previous public comments on this issue, then there would be no further actions or things that would need to be taken at this meeting at this time. So unless you all have any questions for me, I think we've covered what we need to cover for purposes of this public hearing.
I don't have any questions.
I have no question.
No questions.
Anything else?
Amy, let our discussion from the previous meetings go on the record for this meeting.
Comments?
Yeah, our comments. Think that would about do it then.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I don't want to say it all again. Motion adjourned.
Second.
So moved.